And that's why an actor's craft is an evolution of love. We discover more about ourselves, which has the capacity of shaping our identity and therefore transforming our reality and thus our connection to the art form, forcing us to fall in love with it over and over again.
Hello, my name is Lampaert. I'm an actor and a comedian and a bunch of other things, writer, director, dreamweaver, as Garth Marenghi might say. I sometimes help my dad window clean just for a bit of extra cash. I also bake bread, but I'm not getting paid for that. But what I'm saying is I'm versatile. I studied theatre at a university in London. I studied clowning at the Jacques Lecoq School in Paris. I also studied improvisation at the UCB School in Los Angeles. And yeah, so far I've had a pretty amazing career internationally, on stage and on movie sets, playing with Oscar-winning directors and actors. And that's been genuinely an absolute pleasure and a treat, and yeah, very grateful so far. And in this video, I answer some questions that I often get asked about craft and technique, and I wrote my answers down because I do get distracted sometimes. Only sometimes. And so it's just nice to have a bit of discipline. That's what I'm trying to teach myself, discipline. Oh God, it's so difficult.
How did you fall in love with acting? There are multiple points in space and time where I discovered and reinvigorated my passion for the stage, the audience, the lights, camera and action, which I'll reflect on with non-linearity. Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is the talent show at school, which convinced me to change my university application from computer animation to a degree studying theatre arts. Yeah, I wanted to do computer animation because I thought that was like the safer option, because I was a bit homeless when I was young, and so I thought, I'll tell you what I really like. I like the idea of having a roof over my head, and that costs money. So how am I going to get this money thing? And the arts is quite famous actually for not paying well unless you've made it, and then pays really well. I've had little flavours of it paying well, and I go, oh yum, can I have some more of that? And they're like, yeah, but you've got to be talented. Am I not talented? I am, he says, screaming into a room by himself. So basically I wanted some financial stability, and so I applied to do computer animation. I got in, and then I did a talent show at school as a way to say goodbye to performing, to the arts. I said I did a talent show and entered every category, and I think I won every category that I was able to enter. And so the next day I woke up going, what am I doing? I'm obviously destined for the stage. And so I deferred my year, which cost a bunch of money, because that was the year that the university fees went like tripled or something. So not only did I choose a profession that pays less, but it ended up costing me more. Terrible choice. Anyway, the second little memory is my takeover of the communal stage at an all-inclusive hotel where the family were holidaying in Gran Canaria. Now I don't remember doing this, but I only know it because so many family members keep reminiscing. Oh, do you remember the time when Eric went on stage? Apparently, something had happened to the live entertainment at the hotel, so there was nothing going on, and I just decided to go up there. I think I was like, 14 years old, 13, and I don't know what I did, but it clearly mesmerized the entire audience. I hypnotized them with my pure talent. And gosh, I'm humble. And sorry, I'm having fun reminiscing. And apparently the reaction that the family gave me from that moment on just sort of gave me the impression that this is definitely the path I should be taking. And ever since, they've been supportive of my career, but they often bring up that memory. And then what else? I was engaged with my local amateur dramatic group, Nomads, at the King's Theatre in Newmarket. The after-school club was a place where I felt safe and supported, which was very much appreciated during my tumultuous adolescence. That's the hard thing about words, isn't it? Is you look at it and you go, it could be said in so many different ways. Adolescence. Okay, shush. Subsequently, the study of acting led me in front of crowds where laughter of my clowning was later found to be therapy disguised as jokes. Yes, somewhat healing, but certainly enchanting and maybe even addictive. And what engineers obsession more than love? The audience made me feel loved, even if superficial and brief. Yeah, there was something very interesting that happened in my 20s, which was I was on stage doing stand-up all the time. And sometimes I got the laughs, sometimes I didn't. You know, I was still working my way through it. And as I was doing that, I was also just, you know, living my life. And sometimes I'd have these little moments where I needed therapy, and they never quite hit to the core of what I needed. And then I did hypnotherapy in my late 20s. And something just healed, like something got unearthed out of me and genuinely had such a healing effect that I no longer craved love from the external. I sort of found it inside of myself. And so, but it was really useful. And what I then discovered was that I no longer had the same hunger to get on stage, which was weird. And I really actually missed being on stage, but I just no longer had that need, which is, you might say, is actually a healthy thing. Thankfully, I've rediscovered my love and my hunger for the stage, but not for love anymore, more for like just, well, money. And not because like, oh, that pays well. I could go for another job, but I'm almost 40 years old and turns out I'm all in. That's one of the problems with doing acting so well in your 20s. My CV is blank. I have no other like skills. This is it, okay? I can memorize lines pretty quickly. They can come out of my mouth in a pretty funny way or tragic, because believe me, I have a well of emotions from which I can dig. Sorry, this is what I mean by distractions. Perhaps acting became a distraction. Oh, good timing. A way to escape my life. Put on the mask of another so that I may briefly forget the world beyond the stage. And that's why an actor's craft is an evolution of love. We discover more about ourselves, which has the capacity of shaping our identity and therefore transforming our reality and thus our connection to the art form, forcing us to fall in love with it over and over again. Okay. A bit of poetry there, it's quite nice. If you've made it this far in a video, thank you, firstly, that's really nice. But it also means that maybe you like me a little bit, eh? And that's really nice, so thank you very much. Or maybe you just like the art of storytelling. And if you do, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more on the craft of acting and the world of stories in which we coexist. All right, thank you, love you. There's the time I got a standing ovation for my stand-up comedy routine in Quebec. Yeah, oh man, that was a wonderful feeling to have people like, oh, I must get out of my seat to show him more appreciation. That was really nice. It was really supportive. It felt like, okay, I'm heading in the correct direction here, because you know, sometimes you have to find your audience, and it all depends on who I perform to. And sometimes they're like, who's this weirdo loser? Oh, come on, guys, I'm not a weirdo loser. Come back, come back. Oh, the comedy club's now empty. Yeah, what was I saying? Okay, get back to this. Yeah, there was a round of applause for my work on a movie set I did for a Luc Besson film. Yeah, on Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. I was told that the producers forgot to give me a monologue to learn, and that supposedly that's what I was filming that day. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was in the makeup chair, and they were like, you know, I had this massive costume, a hat that was so heavy that as soon as you put it on, so it kind of changed my performance because the hat was so heavy. But it was quite nice. I quite enjoyed that that evolution of the character. But anyway, I had to learn how to. I had to learn this monologue to perform to a director who's an Oscar-winning director, but also like there were about 200 people on set. So I'm thinking in my head, every minute is so expensive, and I cannot waste this person's time. And so I was a bit panicky. And luckily, the producers told Luke that I wasn't given this monologue to sort of learn. And so I do it, I learn it, I perform it, I blunder, and I go, oh, I'm really sorry, can we just go over it, can we just do it again? And he's like, yep, no worries, back to positions, right? And so I get back in position and I do it, and I have to do it while interacting with an alien that's not there because it'll be computer animated, which if I had stuck to my original decision, I would have done that. And so I sort of performed and then got the thing, and Luke said, that was really amazing. Everyone, round of applause for Eric. And that was so unexpected. I didn't think it necessarily deserved it. Maybe he was just being kind. I don't know. But that was a really lovely moment, and it obviously has stuck with me because that was a moment I thought, yes, I am an actor. Because I'd been a comedian at the early stages of my career, and at that moment I went, okay, wow, I'm leveling up here. This is really, really nice. And so that was a moment that stuck with me. What else? Oh yeah, the suggestion I made for a scene with Benedict Cumberbatch, which the director approved of. Yeah, there was a moment in The Thing with Feathers where the director said, okay, and we're going to put the camera here and we're going to spin, and Dad, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, is going to be in the middle, and I play Crow, and I'll be on the outside. And I said, we had one little rehearsal to do that scene because it was quite a complicated scene, and I'm on my stilts in my Crow costume, but without the hat, and I'm sort of looming over them. And I said to them, I was like, oh, if I may just offer one suggestion. I said that I think Crow should actually be inside inside the circle, because this is the scene where Dad actually goes, okay, I embrace Crow, I'm taking it in, and actually the audience are outside now. I can't remember exactly how I phrased it. It probably came out of me in a more professional way or articulate way, I don't know. But it was really nice when Benedict went, you know what, he's right. And then Dylan was like, okay, yeah, we're going to do that. And a part of me was like, yes, mm-hmm. But inside I was going, oh, bloody hell, yes, I'm a professional, yes, good, well done me. I was so proud. So that was a nice moment. What else? I'll tell you why it was a nice moment, because it made me realise that just because I'm working with a colleague, ultimately Benedict and Dylan are colleagues, they are elevated from my perspective because of just the sheer amount of work they've done, compared to me. And so it felt quite nice that I was able to have some input and my input to be appreciated. And that felt really nice. And then it's not just the work that I do which elevates that love for the craft. It can obviously be watching other people. I mean, so many comedians are inspiring. But there was one moment which I almost felt the ignition in me. Oh my God. It was watching Michelle Terry play Richard III at the Globe. I was mesmerised. And maybe it's because it was also my first time in Shakespeare's Globe. But watching her, she's the artistic director for the whole theatre as well. So her knowledge is just on point, but her performance was so good. And I walked away going, oh, I really want to do this again. And I say again is because I, for a few years, lost a lot of confidence from,
from life. Just from life and death, I lost a lot of confidence. And so watching her really like like a Promethean spark, it was really, really beautiful. I was spellbound out of my depression. So it's difficult to pinpoint the exact moment. Maybe it was designed by my mother, who would entertain herself by playing characters with me and her two sisters as if I were a doll. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's hard to pinpoint where an identity begins and ends. But my mum was a teenage mother, and she had two younger sisters, and then I was there. So it felt more like I was with three older sisters than a mum and two aunts. And so we'd play with each other, right? And, you know, growing up with three women and a grandma and a great grandma, I was the odd one out because of the penis. And yeah, yeah, they used to dress me up and stuff. And so I think, because obviously then as I was parading in all these different costumes, and we would film sketches and stuff like that, the laughter was communal, and that was something that I really liked, was that it wasn't just me generating comedy for an audience of strangers. It was all of us just laughing and loving together. And so maybe that's where the love of it started. The study of storytelling sometimes makes things feel as if events are destined to happen, to keep the tapestry of our lives together. Well, there we go. So that was one question, and I'm going to keep doing that as a series for the foreseeable. Thank you for watching the video, and if you are going to the Edinburgh Festival in 2026, then come and check out my show 0-1. If not, I will be taking it on tour, hopefully in the UK, in Europe, and the world, dare I say. And if you're watching this way into the future, I mean, hello, isn't this amazing? Hello, maybe I'm alive, maybe I'm dead, I don't know. But if I am alive, then I'm probably still doing stuff creatively. And so, yeah, hello, subscribe, and maybe I'll see you. Maybe we'll never meet. Isn't it amazing? Oh, life is amazing.